Among the Hidden by Margaret Peterson Haddix. Chapter 1. He saw the first tree shudder and fall, far off in the distance. Then he heard his mother call out the kitchen window, "Luke! Inside now!" He had never disobeyed the order to hide, even as a toddler, barely able to walk in the backyard's tall grass. He had somehow understood the fear in his mother's voice. But on this day, the day they began taking the woods away, he hesitated. He took one extra breath of the fresh air, scented with clover and honeysuckle and, coming from far away, pine smoke. He laid his hoe down gently and savored one last moment of feeling warm soil beneath his bare feet. He reminded himself, "I will never be allowed outside again. Maybe never again as long as I live." He turned and walked into the house, as silently as a shadow. "Why?" he asked at the supper table that night. It wasn't a common question in the Garner house. There were plenty of hows. How much rain did the backfield get? How'd the planting going? Even what's? What did Matthew do with the 5/16 wrench? What's Dad going to do about the busted tire? But why wasn't considered much worth asking. Luke asked again, "Why did you have to sell the woods?" Luke's dad harumphed and paused in the middle of shoveling forkfuls of boiled potatoes into his mouth. "I told you before, we didn't have a choice. Government wanted it. You can't tell the government no." Mother came over and gave Luke's shoulder a reassuring squeeze before turning back to the stove. They had defied the government once with Luke. That had taken all the defiance they had in them, maybe more. "We wouldn't have sold the woods if we hadn't had to," she said, ladling out thick tomatoey soup. "The government didn't ask us if we wanted houses there." She pursed her lips as she slid the bowl of soup onto the table. "But the government's not going to live in the houses," Luke protested. At 12, he knew better, but sometimes still pictured the government as a very big, mean, fat person, 2 or 3 times as tall as an ordinary man, who went around yelling at people, "Not allowed!" and "Stop that!" It was because of the way his parents and older brothers talked. "Government won't let us plant corn there again. Government's keeping the prices down. Government's not going to like this crop." "Probably some of the people who live in those houses will be government workers," Mother said. "It'll all be city people." If he'd been allowed, Luke would have gone over to the kitchen window and peered out at the woods, trying for the umpteenth time to picture rows and rows of houses where the firs and maples and oaks now stood. Or had stood. Luke knew from a sneak peek right before supper that half the trees were now toppled. Some already lay on the ground. Some hung at weird angles from their former lofty positions in the sky. Their absence made everything look different. Like a fresh haircut exposing a band of untanned skin on the forehead. Even from deep inside the kitchen, Luke could tell the trees were missing because everything was brighter, more open, scarier. And then, when those people moved in, "I have to stay away from the windows?" Luke asked, though he knew the answer. The question made Dad explode. He slammed his hand down on the table. "Then? You gotta stay away from now. Everybody and his brother's going to be tramping around back there to see what's going on. They see you?" He waved his fork violently. Luke wasn't sure what the gesture meant, but he knew it wasn't good. No one had ever told him exactly what would happen if anyone saw him. Death? Death was what happened to the runt pigs who got stepped on by their stronger brothers and sisters. Death was a fly that stopped buzzing when the squatter hit it. He had a hard time thinking about himself in connection with a smashed fly or the dead pig, gone stiff in the sun. Made his stomach feel funny even trying. "I don't think it's fair we've got to do Luke's chores now," Luke's older brother Mark grumbled. "Can't he go outside some? Maybe at night?" Luke waited hopefully for the answer, but Dad just said, "No," without looking up. "It's not fair." Mark said again. Mark was the second son, the lucky second, Luke thought when he was feeling sorry for himself. Mark had 2 years older than Luke, and barely a year younger than Matthew, the oldest. Matthew and Mark were easily recognizable as brothers, but their dark hair and chiseled faces. Luke was fairer, smaller boned, softer looking. He often wondered if he ever looked tougher than them. Somehow he didn't think so. Luke don't do nothing nohow, Matthew jeered. We won't miss his work at all. It's not my fault, Luke protested. I'd help more if... But Mother laid her hands on his shoulders again. Hush, all of you, she said. Luke will do what he can. He always has. The sound of tires on the gravel driveway came through the open window. Now who? Dad started. Luke knew the rest of the sentence. Who could that be? Why were they bothering him now? His first chance all day to sit down. It was a question Luke always heard at the end from the other side of the door. Today, skittish because of the woods coming down, he scrambled up faster than usual, dashing for the door to the back stairs. He knew without watching that Mother would take his plate from the table and hide it in the cupboard. Would slide his chair back into the corner so it looked like an unneeded spare. In 3 seconds she would hide all evidence that Luke existed, just in time to step to the door and offer a weary smile to the fertilizer salesman or the government inspector or whoever else had come to interrupt their supper. Chapter 2. There was a law against Luke. Not him personally, everyone liked him. Kids who were born after their parents had already had 2 babies. Actually, Luke didn't know if there was anyone else like him. He wasn't supposed to exist. Maybe he was the only one. They did things to women after they had their second baby, so they wouldn't have any more. And if there was a mistake, and a woman got pregnant anyway, she was supposed to get rid of it. That was how Mother had explained it years ago, the first and only time Luke had asked why he had to hide. He had been 6 years old. Before that, he had thought only very little kids had to stay out of sight. He had thought as soon as he was as old as Matthew and Mark, he would get to go around like they did, riding to the backfield and even into town with Dad, hanging their heads and arms out the pickup window. He had thought as soon as he got as old as Matthew and Mark, he could play in front yard and kick the ball out into the road if he wanted. He had thought as soon as he got as old as Matthew and Mark, he could go to school. They complained about it, whining, "Geez, why do we got to do homework? And who cares about spelling?" But they also talked about games at recess and friends who shared candy at lunchtime or loaned them pocket knives to carve with. Somehow, Luke never got as old as Matthew and Mark. The day of his 6th birthday, Mother baked a cake, a special one with raspberry jam dripping down the sides. At supper that night, she put 6 candles on the top and placed it in front of Luke and said, "Make a wish." Staring into the ring of candles, proud that the number of his years finally made a ring all around the cake, Luke suddenly remembered another cake, another ring of 6 candles, Mark's. He remembered Mark's 6th birthday. He remembered it because, even with the cake in front of him, Mark had been whining. "But I want to have a party. Robert Joe had a party on his birthday. He got to have 3 friends over." Mother had said, "Shh," and looked from Mark to Luke, saying something with her eyes that Luke didn't understand. Startled by the memory, Luke let out his breath. 2 of his candles flickered and 1 went out. Matthew and Mark laughed. "You ain't getting that wish," Mark said. "Baby. Can't even blow out candles." Luke wanted to cry. He'd forgotten even to make a wish, and if he hadn't been surprised, he would have been able to blow out all 6 candles. He knew he could have. And then he would have gotten, he didn't know, a chance to ride to town in a pickup truck, a chance to play in the front yard, a chance to go to school. Instead, All he had was a strange memory that couldn't be right. Surely Luke was thinking about Mark's 7th birthday, or maybe his 8th. Mark couldn't have known Robert Joe when he was 6, because he would have been hiding then, like Luke. Luke thought about it for 3 days. He trailed along behind his mother as she hung wash out on the line, made strawberry preserves, scrubbed the bathroom floor. Several times he started to ask, "How old do I have to be before people can see me?" But something stopped him every time. Finally, on the 4th day, after Dad, Matthew, and Mark scraped back their chairs from the breakfast table and headed out to the barn, Luke crouched by the kitchen's side window. One, he wasn't supposed to look out because people driving by might catch a glimpse of his face. He tilted his head to the side and raised up just enough that his left eye was above the level of the windowsill. He watched Matthew and Mark running in the sunlight, the tops of their hog boots thumping against their knees. They were in full sight of the whole world, it seemed. They didn't care. They were racing to the front door of the barn, not the side one of the backyard that Luke always had to use because it was hidden from the road. Luke turned around and slid to the floor, out of sight. "Matthew and Mark never had to hide, did they?" he asked. Mother was scrubbing the remains of scrambled eggs out of the skillet. She turned her head and looked at him carefully. "No," she said. "Then why do I do?" She dried her hands and left the sink, something Luke had almost never seen her do. If they were still dirty dishes left to be washed, she crouched beside him and smoothed his hair back from his forehead. "Oh, Lukey, do you really need to know? Isn't it enough to know that things are just different for you?" He thought about that. Mother was always saying he was the only one who would ever sit on her lap and cuddle. She still read bedtime stories to him, and he knew Matthew and Mark thought she was sissified. Was that what she meant? But he was just younger. He'd grow up. Wouldn't he be like them? With unusual stubbornness, Luke insisted, "I want to know why I'm different. I want to know why I have to hide." So Mother told him. Later, he wished he had asked more questions, but at the time it was all he could do to listen to what she told him. He felt like he was drowning in the flow of her words. "It just happened. You just happened," she said. "And we wanted you. I wouldn't even let your dad talk about getting rid of you." Luke pictured himself as a baby left in a cardboard box by the side of the road somewhere, the way Dad said people used to do with kittens back when people were allowed to have pets. But maybe that wasn't what Mother meant. The population law hadn't been around long then, and I had always wanted lots of kids. Before, I mean. Getting pregnant with you was like a miracle. I thought the government wouldn't get over their foolishness, maybe even by the time you were born. And then I'd have a new baby to show everyone. But you didn't, Luke managed to say. "You hid me." His voice sounded strangely hoarse, like it belonged to someone else, and Mother nodded. "Once I started showing, I didn't go anywhere. It wasn't hard to do. Where do I go, anyway? I didn't let Matthew or Mark leave the farm for fear that they would say something. I didn't even say anything about you in letters to my mother or sister. I wasn't really scared then. It was just superstition. I didn't want to brag. I thought I'd go to the hospital to give birth. I wasn't going to keep you a secret forever, but then..." "Then what?" Luke said. Mother wouldn't look at him. Then they started running all that TV about population police and how the population police had ways of finding out everything, how they'd do anything to enforce the law. Luke glanced toward the hulking television in the living room. He wasn't allowed to watch it. Was that why? "And your dad started hearing rumors in town about other babies." Luke shivered. Mother was looking far off into the distance to where the rows of new corn plants met the horizon. "I always wanted a John, too," she said. "Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Bless the bed that I lie on. But then I thank the Lord that I have you at least. And it's worked out. The hiding, hasn't it?" The smile she offered him was wobbly. He felt he had to help her. "Yes," he said. And somehow after that, he didn't mind hiding so much anymore. Who wanted to meet strangers anyway? who wanted to go to school